So I guess it's not Valentine's Day anymore. In my defense, I was supposed to get to the hotel before midnight, in which case I would have been recording this video on Valentine's Day, but either way, it was not going to get posted on Valentine's Day. But do y'all mind if we just ramble and talk about nonsense for a little bit? I hope you had a wonderful day. You know, whether you celebrated or not, I hope that you had a great Friday. I had a great Friday. I got off work in the morning. I'm on number 3 in a row for these stacked up back-to-back leanovers. My last video that I posted was a short 15-minute whisper ramble that I recorded 2 nights ago on the first of 3 of these leanovers, where you fly somewhere and you have like maximum, I won't say maximum, but you have, I explained it in the last video if you want to go into more detail about it, but basically, if you're a flight attendant, there's something called a leanover, which is viewed as one continuous duty day even though you fly overnight from evening until the next morning. Because the duty period is so short, it's considered one duty day, which means there's no legal obligation of a minimum rest, so you could have as much or as little time in a hotel room in between flights. And it differs from a turn because you do go to a hotel. There are turns that have long sits. For example, there is a red-eye turn that my airline operates to Las Vegas, and that has a long sit of like 3+ hours. And there is a little crew room that we can go take naps in during that time, but it is a turn, so there is no hotel room booked for you in Vegas. And I don't know what the minimum threshold is for getting a hotel room booked, but I know that it's not whatever I'm on tonight. I'll get into that. So, I recorded that first video that first night and I posted it. And I got off work. Who did I even fly with that night? I can't even remember. Right, okay. So the first night I flew with this woman who actually changed my life a little bit. Like, she changed my life in a small but significant way, and that way was through fragrance. Because fragrance isn't really something that I've invested in for years. Like back when I was in high school and I was working jobs and not paying rent and looking at way too large of a portion of the money that I earned as spending money, I was really into makeup, and I would use my Sephora points and I would get samples of perfume, and I definitely had favorite fragrances out of the ones that were popular at Sephora. But I never really like got into it. I know that there are some really cool indie fragrance houses, and I have like a bunch of them bookmarked somewhere of fragrances from indie houses that I'm like certain if I ever tried them they would become my signature scent. But since since the indie houses aren't stocked at brick and mortar stores, I just have a hard time spending a bunch of money for like small testers plus shipping to just try stuff. Although I watched a YouTube video today where somebody was saying that they make decanters, like they decant samples out of their own personal perfume collection that you can purchase, assuming at a lower price, which it never occurred to me that people might do something like that, but that's a great idea, and I might be interested in trying some fragrances that way, but I digress. Good fragrances can be pretty expensive, and when I say good, I mean like good scent and also good wear, like they last and they have a good throw, like you can smell them in the air around you, not just when you're like right up close. And when I used to treat my income as disposable in high school, I remember that I really enjoyed Versace, Crystal Noir, and I really like Jo Malone fragrances, but some of my favorite Jo Malone scents don't wear the way that I want them to on me. Sometimes when a perfume dries down on my skin, I can just smell like the alcohol base, and it just smells like hairspray after a while. And I don't know if that has as much to do with my skin chemistry as it does just like the quality of the ingredients. Like if all of the really if the floral notes, whatever's making them, if they're just really volatile, so they don't stick around. But I do remember that I used to really like Versace. I used to wear the Crystal Noir for like years, which is hilarious because that's such like it's a grown scent. It's like I mean, I don't know the notes off the top of my head, but I'm a big fan of, quite frankly, men's fragrances. There's a meme that all toxic men wear Dior Sauvage. I used to wear Dior Sauvage for like years, not years. I had like a year where I was really feeling my androgyny and I was wearing men's fragrances. Because I think it's silly that we gender fragrance, and they don't do that in Europe, I don't think. Like they have department stores, but the fragrances, it's all one, like not men or women. But I am a big fan of fragrances that are typically marketed to men. My favorite notes are like musk and woods and spices. My favorite probably of all time that I've ever personally smelled, like I said, there's some indie fragrances and there are some really expensive fragrances like Killian fragrances that I'm sure that if I ever smelled them they would become like my favorite, but I just haven't had the chance. But out of perfumes that I've ever tried and got to spritz on myself, one time I used my Sephora points to get a tiny sampler, not even a deluxe sample, like a tiny sample of Tom Ford Oud Wood, and oh my god, that is a manly scent, but I love it. And I think like I got my wires crossed a little bit because like I would love to have a man that wears that fragrance. I think more than I would like to wear that fragrance, but back in the day I was feeling my androgyny and I wanted to have that fragrance, and I would still wear it. But nowadays I do like to find, or I'm more drawn to fragrances that have that kind of that's been on my mind because I'm an adult now and I would like to have that. Like, whenever I am around somebody who clearly has a signature scent, it's like, oh God, I forget how great that is. Be around somebody that just like smells nice. Because there's like not smelling bad and like having showered, and then there's like, ooh, what are you wearing? So the woman that changed my life literally in like a significant but small way during the first lean over that I did, that was her. She was a 30-some odd year flight attendant, amazing person. She was very open and forthcoming about all the benefit of the experience that she's had in this job, full of advice and kindness and supportive, and just smelled so good. Like, at one point we were all talking about Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl performance and the beef, and like I'm not a fan of either of them. So I know about the beef because like you kind of can't avoid it. But her and one of my other flight attendants were like both, they really followed, they knew what was up, so they were talking about like all the nuances and symbolism in the Super Bowl performance, and I was like listening because they were trying to include me. They're like, and do you listen to that? And I was like kind of sometimes, not really. I'm just happy to be included. And so eventually I just like, when there was a silence, I was like, I'm sorry, you smell so good. And she was like, oh, it's this fragrance. I was like, I have to know what you're wearing, you smell so good. And she's like, yeah, this is my scent. I get compliments on it all the time from men, from women alike. When we get off of our trip, I'll walk you to the duty free and I'll show you, because you can get it at a discount at the duty free as an airline crew member. And so I kind of like, it feels really intimate to just copy her scent straight up. But she showed me exactly what she was wearing and what to buy. And she wears the YSL Libre Eau de Toilette, and she spritzed it on me, and I went and I wore it for all day long yesterday, and it didn't quite dry on me the same that it dried down on her, but I still really liked it, and it felt unique to me. But she specifically said that she gets the Eau de Toilette, and I was gonna get the parfum just because, as far as I knew up until this afternoon, the only difference is that an Eau de Parfum is stronger. It has a higher concentration of fragrance oils in it. Well, when I bought the parfum and I took it home, I opened it. The liquid is like amber orange, and the tester bottle that she spritzed on me and said is the one that she purchases was clear. And I was confused because I know from watching perfume reviewers that certain fragrance compounds change color over time. I think vanilla. There's a Killian fragrance, I think it is, that when you buy it, it's lavender, and over time, I don't know if it's oxidization that happens, but it turns amber. And some people apparently, that smell develops throughout that process, and when they buy a new bottle of that perfume, they won't even use it until it turns color. So I was wondering if maybe that's what mine was, but that doesn't make sense because I feel like would have started light out of the box, and then the tester would have been the dark one. So anyway, I got on YouTube and I looked up YSL Libre perfume reviews to try to figure this out, this mystery. And the first thing I learned is that it's not called YSL Libre. I'm so dumb, I never would have known that it was French. It's like, I watched this one perfume reviewer, she put her whole Odyssey into the pronunciation. It's like YSL Libre or whatever. And she explained that the YSL Libre fragrance line is 4 perfumes. The original YSL Libre, I'm just gonna call it Libre. The original YSL Libre Eau de Toilette EDT, and then after they came out with the EDT, they came out with the YSL Libre Eau de Parfum EDP, and whereas I would have thought that those are the same fragrances, one just stronger than the other, there are actually different notes in the EDP as compared to the original EDT. And then they came out with the YSL Libre Intense EDT, followed by the YSL Libre Intense EDP, which once again has different notes than the EDT. Apparently the Intense EDP, I believe she said, has saffron, honey, ginger, as well as whatever else is in the base notes of the original Libre. So it turns out that the one that I bought is the Libre Intense EDP. And so this afternoon before work, so that was okay. I wore the one that she spritzed on me, the Libre EDT, all day yesterday. Went to work last night, got off work this morning, Valentine's Day, and I went straight to duty free to buy that perfume because I was sold. And I had just run out of the fragrance that I was wearing, which was the Finery spritzes that you can buy at Target. Which, don't get me wrong, they smell really good, but I've tried a couple of them, they smell wonderful. Out of the bottle, on a test strip, and at first spritz. But again, maybe it's just me, or in this case, probably because it is cheap, it's like $10. Eventually, it dries down and all I can smell is hairspray. And it doesn't have a good throw. Like, I never get complimented on that fragrance unless you're like literally right here on me. Which if you are, you need to back up. So I never got compliments on that fragrance because nobody could smell it. I heard the perfume girlies, they refer to that as the throw, how far it throws. And so that fragrance, if you can even call it that, for $10 at Target, no shade, because I've been wearing it for a long time. It smells, like I said, great out of the bottle, great on a test strip, great at first spritz, but it has no throw and it doesn't wear down. It smells like hairspray on me after a while. I ran out of the one that I was wearing, and so it was about time for me to get a perfume, and I wanted to get a parfum, because like I want to smell nice. It's really as simple as that. So I was like, okay, cool. When I got off work this morning, I went straight to the duty free and I bought the one that I bought, which turned out to be different than the one that the woman recommended to me, which is great because then I'm also like not straight up stealing her signature scent that she's been wearing for years. I actually got a different one. really, like, I exfoliated in the shower. I made sure I didn't have any other fragrance, like, left on me, because I spritzed the EDT again before I left duty free, so I got all that off. Took a real nice everything shower before I went back to work again tonight, so that I could give myself my first spray from this bottle. Oh my god, 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 it smells so good. I cannot stop smelling myself. Like, I smell so good right now. I smell so good. I'm freaking out. I'm freaking out. I love this perfume. I smell so good. Like, I would have to look up. Let me look it up right now, actually. Hang on. Let me find out what the notes are for the YSL Libre. Where is the Safari on this phone? YSL Libre. Intense parfum notes. Fragrance notes. Okay, first of all, I saved money because if I buy it from Sephora, it is like $200, and I spent still a lot. It was $157, $157 for a 1.6 fluid ounce bottle of the Libre Intense Parfum. And I believe I have a search result, Libre Intense for women. Okay, so like, kind of surprising that I really, really love this perfume, because it's like, it's a lot less masculine on paper than I typically tend to think that I like. Like I said, I think I'm learning in my old age that there are fragrances that I love, but what I love about them is the thought of having a man around me wearing them. And now I just want to be like a feminine little lady, because the fragrance notes are vanilla, but it is not gourmand. It is not a like firmly 10 toes down in the sweet category. It is not that, but it says it's vanilla, white floral, citrus, lavender, sweet, aromatic, amber, powdery, floral, fresh, spicy. So it has like amber and spices, which just make it like so. Oh, wait, hold on. This one goes into a lot more detail. Hang on. Okay, here we go. This is what I was looking for. Here we go. Libre Intense was launched in 2020. Top notes are lavender, mandarin orange, and bergamot. I love bergamot. I love lavender. I didn't think I was crazy about citrus, but everything just does so much good stuff together. So those are the top notes. The middle notes are, again, lavender, Tunisian orange blossom, jasmine, sambac, and orchid. So a lot of florals. But then the base notes are Madagascar vanilla, tonka bean, ambergris, and vetiver. Ambergris is what makes it so expensive. And vetiver is one of my favorite, like, musks. They're every single reed diffuser and candle that I have in my house right now is oak and vetiver. Oak moss and vetiver or something like that. They were on sale at Target. I'm not knocking Target fragrances. My whole home smells fantastic because of the reed diffusers that I buy there, which I'm not going to be able to get again because they were on sale, so I'm sure they were getting rid of them. But right now my whole house smells great. I love Libra Intense illuminates a new fragrance shade from the Libra fragrance line, originated in 2019, described as that in between fire and gold. Her masculine signature was done in a feminine way. Oh my god, is that not literally exactly what I've been trying to say? I love like a masculine kind of thing, but I want to express like a little bit of feminine warmth with that preference. Wow, I literally accidentally found like my perfect scent. That is exactly what I was just saying. Wow, her masculine signature was done in a feminine way. That is exactly what I was looking for this whole time, and I didn't even know it. Wow, 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 wow. Oh my god, it smells so good. Like, I cannot get over myself. It's like giving me confidence. I feel like I click with this fragrance. And like, I go to work every day that I go to work, I interact with at least a couple hundred people, whether that be for a short while or a long while. I'm greeting you at the boarding door, we're saying hi, we are connecting for a moment with me and a couple hundred people. And the whole time I was wearing those Target fragrances, nobody ever told me I smelled nice, or asked me what I was wearing, or interacted with me the way they interacted with me tonight. It was crazy. Like, so I go to work tonight. I was supposed to report and did report at 7:15 p.m. for an 8:15 departure, which then turned out to be, let's see, I think we were wheels up at 10:30. So it was supposed to be a lean over with like 5 hours on the ground in between flights. That's not counting boarding, deplaning, and commuting to and from the hotel, so it was probably going to be more like 3-ish hours of like behind the hotel room door rest. But then because of our delay, because Minneapolis got a crazy winter storm today, but also my destination was DC, and they were having some stuff going on too, where they were basically drafting a flow of how of how planes could land, and so it was delay on our end and on the part of our destination that made us leave so late. And because we left so late, the majority of the passengers that were going to be on my flight got rerouted onto different flights that already had left. So my entire flight only had like, I'd be surprised if it was 30 people on my flight. I was the lead flight attendant, my first class wasn't even full. And, you know, you'd think maybe you could expect people to be a little grumpy, because we are hours delayed. And rightfully so. If they wanted to be in a bad mood, I couldn't even blame them. The way that people, like, looked at me a little bit more directly, or smiled at me for, like, just a second longer. Like, it's not in my head, I swear. People reacted to me and interacted with me differently today. And I was getting complimented on how good I smell. This is something that I have known but haven't really like internalized, but like fragrance is very powerful. And I learned that today. And that is the long story of how that wonderful woman from 2 nights ago literally changed my life, and I accidentally bought the perfect perfume for me. That's so funny. I didn't even know. Like, of what I'm reading right now about this being like a masculine expression of femininity in a fragrance. That is so like 100% to a T exactly what I am looking for and have been looking for, and have been too lazy to invest the time to like actually try to find. But I have it now, and it has great throw. It's not overpowering, but like if we're having like a one-to-one conversation, we don't have to be like hugging, but if you and I are like one-to-one and we're talking, you're gonna know that I smell good. But the whole room is not gonna know. So it's like the perfect amount, and it really, really lasts. Like from all the perfume reviews that I listened to this afternoon while I was cleaning my apartment, vacuuming and mopping, and just trying to figure out what exactly I had bought for $153, they were all saying like this perfume will last you into the next day, which segue I'm about to confirm, because like I said, my flight was very delayed. I was supposed to have like 4 hours behind the door to rest, and now it is less than 2, which is below the minimum threshold that I attempt to sleep. For example, my lean over that I worked last night, I had 5 hours in the bed, not behind the door, like changed out of my uniform, teeth brushed, mouth guard in, under the covers, alarm set, 5 hours, 8 minutes before I needed to get up. So I spent 5 hours of sleep on a lean over rotation last night. That is a lot of sleep for a lean over. And for me personally, 5 hours is kind of the perfect amount of sleep for me. If I sleep for 5 hours, I feel like I just hit the right balance, where I'm not groggy at all, and I feel very like fresh, crisp, sharp. I can't do 5 hours indefinitely. Like at some point I do need to have like a good like day of rest, like a Sunday, like a nice chill day. But like for a working schedule, 5 hours is really comfortable for me. But I personally just really enjoy sleep, and I have poor sleep discipline. So I love to stay up late, and I love to sleep late if I am not obligated to be at work, or if I'm not obligated to anybody else. If I had my way, I would stay up until 3 o'clock in the morning every night and sleep until noon. But that's not good. And I don't feel good when I do that. I just love to stay up late, and my body will wake me up at like 9, but then I will make myself go back to bed because I love to snooze. I love being sleepy. So anyway, I got off work and I came home, and I wanted to get my apartment all prepared. I didn't want to take a nap because I got my full 5 hours of sleep last night, and I just wanted to vacuum the house, mop the floors, just do like little ditzy chores to make sure that everything in that house was in order. Come originally Sunday was the day that I had in mind, because Sunday was going to be my full day off, no work, not like 24-hour block off, but like full calendar day off on Sunday. And I wanted to be able to enjoy it and like not have to do anything chores wise. So I got it all done today. Very proud of myself. Knowing that I would get like 4 hours of sleep tonight, and then of course it got delayed, and now it's less than 2, and if it's less than 2, then it's basically a turn. And if we were originally structured to only have this amount of time in between flights, we wouldn't even be in a hotel room right now. We never would have left the airport. It would have been considered a turn, but it was not supposed to be this way. And so here I am. I will not be attempting to sleep because if I sleep for less than 2 hours, I will feel less rested than I did before I fell asleep. I will feel groggy. And I'm just gonna roll through until tomorrow because when I get back tomorrow morning, I will be off work until, I keep saying tomorrow, it's already tomorrow. When I get back home later this morning, I will be off work until Sunday, which is actually tomorrow, at like 10, because I did pick up, because there was a high credit turn. There's a Cancun turn that's like 9 hours. That's excellent. And there were a couple of returns that I was able to trade. I had like a 3-day Tampa. I don't like to do 3 days. I like to just fly high credit, and that means turns, leanovers. So I switched it for a Cancun turn and another DCA leanover, which is what I'm doing right now. And then my day off is actually going to become Wednesday. I work Sunday, lean over Monday night to Tuesday morning, have the rest of Tuesday off, have a Wednesday off. Thursday, Friday, I'm going to Vegas, I think. Something like that. So, really glad that I got all of that work around the house done today, like laundry and such, because my trip kind of fell apart this evening and I will not be napping in this hotel room. So tomorrow I will be free to nap as needed and just chill, treat it as a majority day off, and sleep enough to perform a circadian flip before I go back to work tomorrow morning, Sunday morning. If you watched my last video, you literally heard me talk about how I was going to need to take a full calendar day off in between finishing this stack up of leanovers so that I could perform a circadian flip. But then as soon as I saw that money, I saw those dollar signs, I said, I don't need it. I don't need the day off. I'll make it work. So now I no longer have a full calendar day off in between finishing these leanovers and flipping back to daytime flying, but it's really not that big a deal because I don't have a full calendar day, but I do have 24 hours, which is enough. It'll be fine. But I brought my meal prep to work tonight. I brought the three pieces of 3 slices, 3 cuts out of a rack of lamb with saffron rice and charred broccolini with fresh chopped mint and sumac onions, all made by me. It was the first time that I've actually brought one of my meal prep meals into work because I have been trading all of my multi-day trips into turns where I'm home in the evenings or the afternoons, and then I just eat at home because I really only eat like 1 meal a day. So I haven't tapped into my meal prep meals yet. But I just never got around to having my meal at home today because as soon as I got home, I was doing chores and laundry and just trying to get myself set up for success for the rest of the weekend. And I was starting to get a little peckish right around when I was starting to get ready to go back to work. So I took that meal with me, and I had to kind of figure out what the right amount of time was for cooking it in the aircraft oven because I've never done that before because I never meal prepped before. Listen, I don't mean to brag, but I really don't think that anybody has ever had a tastier meal on an airplane than I did tonight. Like, I ate one slice off the rack of lamb when I finished making it, but I never assembled the meal that I ended up prepping and ate it before I froze it and put it away. I really outdid myself. It was so good. I was so happy eating that. Oh my gosh, it was delish. It was so delish. I had the saffron rice and the charred broccolini and the lamb all vacuum sealed in a bag, and then I had 2 little cuppies, one that had sumac onions and one that had chopped mint. And I just pre-portioned all my sumac onions into the little cuppies, and I chopped up the mint and portioned that into little cuppies, and I put both of those little cuppies straight into the freezer, which froze the mint pretty quickly, I would assume, because I chopped it pretty fine. So, I mean, as soon as I put it on top of my dinner, it just felt like I was eating it with fresh mint, basically. I would have put it in with the sumac onions, but I didn't want it to turn weird and brown like that kind of chimichurri sort of sauce that I make in advance sometimes, because it has lemon in it, and it doesn't really affect the flavor, but aesthetically it just kind of browns the herbs, which is the same reason why I blanch my broccolini before I char it. It's totally optional, but it just keeps it nice and green. It makes it look tastier. And I forgot the broccolini was in there altogether, but I really took my time and charred that real good. I remember I was standing in my kitchen. I was watching The Night Agent on Netflix on my phone, and I was waiting for it to char just enough, because I like it like basically burnt. We've been over this. I love my like broccoli and cabbagey and Brussels sprouty kind of veggies. I like those like basically burnt. Like, we can call it charred for branding and PR purposes, but we know what I mean. We all know that I mean burnt. And it was so good. Oh my goodness. Like, I was impressed with myself, I have to say. And I had made yesterday day, the first morning that I came home from a layover, I baked. I made my, I believe they would be called choux au craquelin for the French, but basically just puff pastries with a brown sugar crackle top coating on top that kind of makes them look like a concha, which is what everybody thinks that I've made when I post pictures of this recipe, and then it always makes me think, no, it's not a concha, but I should try to make one of those sometime, but then I never have. It's just choux pastry, pâte à choux, cream puff, hollow. I pipe them the size of bao buns, though. So like obnoxiously like palm-sized, obnoxiously large bun-sized cream puff with a crunchy, crackly coating on top. I usually just fill it with vanilla bean pastry cream, but that is like, has the weight of a pudding. So this time I folded in a cup of whipped heavy cream, which, as I learned from John Cannell Preppy Kitchen, turns your pastry cream into a diplomat cream. So that's what I filled them with this time. I filled them with a diplomat cream, and then I sealed the bottoms with dark chocolate, because I pipe the cream in through the bottom and then I seal them up with dark chocolate, except it was really more of a ganache because I did need to add heavy cream to it so that I could coat all of them, because I was running out of chocolate. So I didn't the same snap that it usually does. I had to put them in the fridge for it to set, and usually it'll set at room temperature, but regardless, they still turn out really good. But it was kind of frustrating me because for some reason I could not get them to work. I've made these so many times, and I made them 3 different times a few days in a row, 3 attempts at this recipe, and I finally made it right. I don't know what happened, but for a hot second I just forgot how to make this recipe, apparently. But I finally conquered, and it was so good. I had one for breakfast. Super delish. As I did yesterday. Clean today. Get off in a few hours. I have to leave the hotel in an hour, basically, to go back, work the flight back to Minneapolis, and then I will be off work for the rest of today with no obligations, because I finished all of my laundry and chores yesterday, and I don't have another leanover that reports tonight, so I can sleep in my own bed. And then when I wake up, it'll be Sunday the 16th, which is the day that my flight attendant's schedule comes out, and we can find out if I received a trip with a long layover in Las Vegas on the evening of March 9th. No, 8th. Because Deftones are performing in Vegas that night, and I want to go. Even though I literally just went to a Deftones concert in October. I said this in my last video too. That last Deftones concert was only my 2nd time seeing them because they don't tour enough for me, for my liking. They don't tour enough. And I had the best time. Oh my god, it was such a good show. I want to go again because I love them. But I'm letting fate decide. I'm not going to buy a ticket and also buy a hotel room and then take my own time to go. But if I'm going to be there for work anyway, and you're going to be paying me anyway, then I might as well go to the concert. So when I wake up on Sunday, I will have a quick second to check that as soon as my schedule gets released, and maybe trade some things around. It's always an absolute feeding frenzy the first 5 minutes after schedules get released, because the senior mamas, it'll be the only time all month long that they drop really juicy trips. Just freely drop them and don't ask for any swaps in return. And so it'll be things like, Korea, Japan. But I never have the fastest fingers. Never in my life have been able to pick up one of those trips before somebody else can get them. But I'm not sweating it. And also, I also just work a lot of hours. So usually if there is something that somebody is dropping freely, I'm already working on those days. So it's kind of irrelevant for me to be up and looking at the boards when schedules get posted, but if I happen to not be working on the morning of the 16th each month, I do check just in case. It's also a good opportunity to drop any trips that you don't want, because that is also when a lot of people pick things up in advance, and then it's nice to know because you have your month plotted before the month even begins. And then if you wait until later and you post something, it will oftentimes get picked up, but it'll get picked up like the day prior, and that if you're trying to drop it because you're trying to plan something is not always the most convenient, but it still just provides so much flexibility. It's great. Like how I was supposed to be working not on Sunday and then a 3-day, and then I changed that into trips that gave me more money. I just love being able to plug and play and like swap things around and customize my schedule and have more time off in 1 month if that's what I'm feeling, or just work a bunch and get paid. The flexibility is like such a highlight of my job. I'm so grateful. Anyway, that's about all I can think of right now to ramble about. All she can think of, she says, as she's been talking for almost an hour. I really hope that you enjoyed hanging out with me. Like I said, I hope you had a great day today. I'm sorry I didn't actually upload on Valentine's Day. But we can be Valentines. It's fine. If you felt like you missed out on something, you didn't. But if you felt like you did, we can be Valentines. And I am not going to go to sleep, because if I sleep for less than an hour, I will just wake up feeling miserable. I'm going to power through. And if I need a nap once I get home, that's fine, because I'm not nocturnal anymore after this evening. I'm gonna do day flying after this evening. So, what I am going to do is finish watching trash TV. Love is Blind premiered. Season 8, I think, premiered today. I was watching it / listening to it earlier when I put laundry away, and I didn't quite finish. But it's Minneapolis this season. It's literally where I live. I think they were even, like, I was already living in Minneapolis while they were casting the show. Like, that literally could have been me if I wanted it to. And you know they would have cast me. Of course they would have cast me. I mean, I would be the storyline of the season. There is a flight attendant on this season, I think. Obviously, she doesn't say what airline she works for, and she doesn't look familiar, so I don't think she works for my airline, but I think this is the second season that they've had a flight attendant on the show. And I'm pretty sure the season that had the flight attendant the first time around, I think that premiered while I was still trying to get this job. And I was like, how on earth was that girl able to just take off like a month? That's crazy. Because when you research becoming a flight attendant, you hear a lot about reserve this, reserve that. And now I'm 2.5 years in, and I have so much flexibility. Like, if I wanted to be on Love is Blind, I could. I could just take a monthly personal leave of convenience, is what they call it. And I could just get that and then just not work for the entire month and go to the pods and fall in love with a stranger and get married and never come back to work. Just kidding, I will never get married. But I can't wait. I can't wait for this season. I love trash TV. When it's Love is Blind. It's the only reality TV show that I watch. My friend got me into it years ago. They're in their 8th season now. I've been watching ever since the first season. I think I watched the first season like right after it fully aired, because my friend told me about it and convinced me. He was like, no, you need to watch it. I know it's reality TV, but you have to watch this show. And he was right. I'm totally hooked. I've watched every season as it premieres ever since the first season. It's the only reality TV show that I watch. But I'm obsessed with it, so I'm gonna go watch that, finish that, and just take some rest time, but not sleep time. And then I will prepare for my flight that I have in a couple of hours, and I will keep my eye on my work phone, because with the way this trip is going, you never know if we're gonna get a notification that our rotation has changed. Who knows? gonna make sure that I am logged in right now so that I can get those notifications if they do come through. Because I am the lead flight attendant for this rotation, so I will be responsible for my crew if anything changes. Just like I was responsible to get us to the hotel. When we got off of our flight, it was past midnight. In some cities, some hotels, you'll take the hotel shuttle as a crew member, and then in some cities the company will book you like a private limousine. It just depends on whether the hotel that we're contracted with even has their own shuttle, and if that shuttle only runs every so often, then they'll book us a private car because they don't want us to have to be waiting around when rest is at stake and yada yada yada. But the hotel that I'm staying at tonight, and the way that we do and get there is by taking the hotel shuttle, and the hotel shuttle stopped running at midnight. So we landed. One of my crew members called and they're like, yeah, the shuttle's not running anymore, you have to take an Uber. So then I got to eat that expense up front, and that's another thing that I'll do right now. I need to submit that expense to the company so they can pay me back for getting us here. But in the morning, the shuttle will be running again. I keep saying the morning as if it's not already in the morning. I'm talking about in like an hour, the shuttle will be running again. And we will take that shuttle to the airport and work that one quick leg back to Minnesota. And then I get to hang out for the rest of the day and not work again until Sunday in the morning after bids release. And I won't have a layover for that trip, but I will have a layover on Monday night. I will be actually back here, potentially in this exact same hotel room, but I'll be back here in this hotel in DC on it's either Monday or Tuesday. I don't know, I'm not looking at it right now. Whatever I traded it around to, I'll be back here, and then I can make another video. Assuming that we don't come to that day and it turns out I need to sleep. We'll see how it goes. I've been saying nonsense for the last 4.5 minutes because I just wanted to fill out a full hour because my last video was so short. So, yada yada, blah blah blah. We've made it now to 1 hour. I'm going to wrap up this video, and I hope that you enjoyed hanging out with me. Thank you for spending the time. I hope you found it relaxing. And as always, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below if you have anything that you would like to see in a future video so that I can do that for you.